Husband secretly drained $20,000 from our emergency fund to buy his ex a luxury car, then called me selfish. So I went to the bank, got every dollar back, and learned he'd told her I approved it. Okay, take a deep breath, because this is a story I never thought I'd be telling. I thought I knew my husband. I thought we were building a life together. But one shocking revelation didn't just shatter my trust. He took our hard-earned security and threw it at his ex-wife like it was pocket change. It was a betrayal so deep, I'm still reeling from it. So Jack and we've been married 5 years now. He's got 2 kids from his previous marriage, and his ex, Amy, has always been in the picture because of them. And honestly, I understood that. I never expected her to just vanish. They co-parent, I get it. I always tried to be respectful, to be the understanding new wife, even when it felt a little awkward or, yeah, sometimes a little lonely. But recently, something happened that didn't just make me see things differently. It absolutely ripped the blinders off. See, Jack and we had this joint emergency fund. We built it up together, bit by bit, over years. It was our safety net. For real emergencies, a medical crisis, car trouble, if one of us lost a job. It gave me such a sense of security, you know? Like, no matter what, we had each other, and we had this cushion. I was so proud of how much we'd saved. But then, a few weeks ago, I logged in and saw it. A huge chunk, over $20,000, just gone. My heart dropped to my stomach. I immediately thought fraud, hacking, something awful. So I asked Jack, and he just casually said, yeah, I took the money out. I asked what for. His answer? A family morale boost. I must have looked completely blank, because then he dropped the bomb. He bought Amy, his ex-wife, a brand new, luxury SUV. Not some practical use car. A fully loaded luxury SUV. I thought I'd misheard him. My jaw actually went slack. I stood there, absolutely frozen. Our emergency fund? For his ex? He explained that Amy's old car broke down, and she needed a new one for the kids' school and activities. He said she was having a tough time, and he didn't want the kids to suffer because their mom was stressed. According to him, this car would make Amy happy, and that would help everyone. I just stared at him. This wasn't our emergency. This wasn't even an emergency. And even if it was, why didn't he talk to me? This was our shared money, our safety net. He didn't even ask. When I finally found my voice and told him I wasn't okay with this, he immediately got defensive. He accused me of being selfish. Said I didn't care about the kids' well-being. That I was jealous of Amy. Jealous? No. This wasn't about jealousy. This was about respect. About partnership. About the fact that he just stole from us, from me, to give a lavish gift to someone else. And then he just shrugged and told me to cope with it. The decision was already made. It was for family morale. He kept repeating that like it was some magic phrase that would make it okay. Honestly, it felt like a physical slap across the face. I'd always bent over backwards to be respectful of his ex-wife's situation. I never complained about their constant texts or calls regarding the kids. I never got in the way if she needed a favor. But this was different. This was a massive financial decision made completely behind my back. And it definitely didn't feel like it was just for the kids. This wasn't just a car. It was fully loaded, custom color, leather seats, the whole deal. This was a gift. An expensive, fancy gift. The worst part? He didn't even seem to feel bad. He genuinely acted like I was being dramatic, that I was overreacting. It's not like we're broke, he actually said. But we're not rich either. That emergency fund didn't build itself. That was years of hard work, saving every penny, skipping vacations, passing on things I wanted so we could have that safety net. And suddenly, I started to wonder, did he still have feelings for Amy? I'd never once thought that before, but the way he spoke about her, the way he defended her, the way he didn't blink at giving her something so lavish, it made me question everything. Then, a few days later, one of Jack's friends let something slip. Jack had been talking to Amy about this car for weeks. Weeks. It wasn't a sudden, urgent decision. He'd been planning it. He even went to the dealership with her, picked everything out together. My stomach dropped again. He knew all along what he was going to do, and he kept me completely in the dark until it was a done deal. He just dropped it on me like it was nothing. Suddenly, all these other moments started replaying in my head. The anniversary dinner he missed because Amy had a personal crisis. The weekend trip with the kids where Amy conveniently came along. I'd let so much slide. always telling myself he was just being a good dad. But now, I wasn't so sure. I tried to talk to him again a few days later, hoping we could have a calm conversation. But he just shut it down. "Stop bringing it up," he said. "You're being negative. You're ruining the family mood." He made me feel like the bad guy for even questioning his outrageous behavior. He still acted like he'd done the absolute right thing. He even bragged to the kids about their mom's cool new car, and he just beamed when they praised him. I spent days walking around with this suffocating weight in my chest. I still cooked dinner. I still went to work. I still smiled when his kids asked for help with homework. But inside, I was just simmering, angry and utterly exhausted. I started losing sleep. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, staring at the ceiling, thinking about that account, thinking about how little I mattered in that moment, thinking about how easily he chose Amy over me. One morning, I logged back into the joint account. I just stared at the transaction again. Dealership name, exact amount, timestamp. So official, so clear. Thousands of dollars, just gone. I sat there, thinking about all the hours I'd worked, the sacrifices I'd made, the vacations I skipped, the things I didn't buy for myself, all to build that fund. And it was all wiped out in one swipe, without my consent. That's when I opened another tab. I Googled, how to report unauthorized use of joint account. I didn't actually think I'd do anything. I just wanted to know my options. But the more I read, the more I realized I had a case. We both had to agree on big withdrawals. This wasn't some personal piggy bank. It was a shared account. I never signed off on that money. There were procedures for this. And suddenly, it wasn't even about punishing Jack. It was about drawing a line. It was about saying, you can't just do whatever you want and expect me to stay quiet. I took screenshots of everything. The account history, the withdrawal, our account agreement. I made notes. I gathered all the info. Then, I filed a report online and called the bank to confirm it. They said they'd investigate and get back to me. A week passed. Jack had no idea. He went on like everything was normal. Meanwhile, I was just waiting. And when the call came, they told me the transaction was flagged as a large, one-party withdrawal with no joint authorization. They froze the account. All access paused. Jack found out a few days later when he tried to transfer money for the kids' school fees. I heard him cursing in the other room. He called the bank, and they told him there was a pending dispute on an unauthorized transaction. He stormed into the kitchen later that night, face absolutely crimson, demanding to know if I had done it. I didn't answer. I didn't have to. He knew. He paced around the kitchen, absolutely fuming. He told me I was being petty, that I'd gone too far, that I was ruining everything, that I was acting like a bitter ex-wife, not a partner. I just kept washing the dishes. I didn't feel like defending myself anymore. I was done arguing. He told me the bank needed written proof from both parties showing agreement. And he knew he didn't have that. I never said yes. Not in writing, not even verbally. He tried to guilt-trip me again. Now the kids will suffer, he said, because the account is frozen. I didn't respond. I had tried to be the bigger person for so long, and all it ever got me was pushed to the side. That night, I checked my private account. I transferred more of my paycheck into it. I changed login credentials on all my personal accounts. I canceled any shared credit cards. I made sure I had access to every bit of financial documentation I might need. Over the next week, the investigation continued. I got calls from the bank, asking questions, confirming details. I told them everything, truthfully. I wasn't informed. I didn't agree. It was our joint emergency fund, and I didn't consent to a luxury car for his ex-wife. That's all I said. They told me they were taking it seriously. Jack became even colder after that. No more yelling, just this vast, aching distance. He moved around the house like a ghost, not speaking to me unless it was about logistics. He started sleeping in the guest room, his phone on silent. Honestly, I didn't care. I actually slept better. Then, another call from the bank. They ruled in my favor. The transaction was officially unauthorized based on our joint account agreement and lack of dual consent. They were reversing it, and Jack's individual access to the account would be frozen going forward. He found out later that day. He didn't say a word. He just packed an overnight bag and left the house. I didn't stop him. The next day, Amy messaged me. I have no idea how she found out. It was a long, condescending text about how I'd embarrassed Jack and made things harder for everyone. She said I was being spiteful and that this was bad for the kids. I didn't even reply. I just blocked her. People always expect the new wife to bow her head and keep quiet, to be polite, patient, supportive. And I tried. For years, I really, truly tried. But the second I put my foot down and said, "This isn't okay," I became the villain. Selfish, bitter, overreacting. I didn't even get the money back for myself. It went right back into the account. But now I have full oversight. Now he can't just dip into it whenever he feels like it. Now there are consequences. Jack came back after a few days, acting like nothing had happened. He tried to pretend it was just a rough patch, that we'd get over it. But something had irrevocably shifted. I think he finally realized I wasn't just going to let things slide anymore. I wasn't going to keep playing the role of the supportive background character in a story where he was the hero and Amy was the struggling damsel in need. He doesn't talk about the car anymore. He barely talks about the kids. He just exists in the same space, floating through the house like he's still trying to figure out what to say. But I don't think there's anything left to say. I started keeping a journal of every financial decision. Copies of everything. Not because I'm planning something drastic, but because I know now I have to protect myself. I know now that being quiet and understanding doesn't guarantee love or respect. Things didn't exactly calm down after the bank ruled in my favor. Jack just walked around like I'd betrayed him in the worst way possible. He stopped yelling, but he was cold, short, passive-aggressive. Sometimes he just wouldn't come home at all, then pretend nothing happened the next day. I guess I had this tiny sliver of hope he'd at least acknowledge what he did was wrong. Maybe even apologize. I don't know why I still had that hope. Jack never really apologized for anything unless it was to keep the peace. This time, he didn't even try. He just acted like I'd stabbed him in the back for daring to stop him from spending our money without my consent. The awkward silence grew into full-on avoidance. He stopped eating dinner with me. He moved most of his stuff into the guest room permanently. Our few conversations were just about groceries or bills or the kids' schedules. I didn't push. I didn't beg him to talk. I just let the silence fester. Then, one night, after he got back late again, he finally decided to say something. He stood in the hallway while I was folding laundry and said he couldn't forgive me, that he felt deeply betrayed by my decision to report the transaction, that I turned on him like he was the enemy, that if I really loved him, I would have talked to him, not humiliated him like that. I didn't even look up from the laundry. I just said, "We're even then, because I can't forgive you either." He didn't respond. He just stood there for a second, then walked away. And I meant it. I can't forgive him. Not just for the money, but for how he made me feel. Small. Invisible. Like my opinion didn't matter. Like I was just a roadblock in his little fantasy life, where Amy was still someone he needed to please. That hurt more than the money. After that conversation, things shifted even more. He started acting like a roommate. A cold, unpleasant one. He did his own laundry, cooked his own food, kept to himself. So I did the same. We lived in the same house, but it felt like we were on different planets. Then Amy showed up at our door one afternoon. I was home early from work. She knocked like she owned the place. When I opened the door, she looked surprised to see me. I didn't say anything, just crossed my arms and waited. She said she was there to talk to Jack, asked if he was home. I told her no. She looked me up and down, trying to figure out how far she could push me, then asked if I had a problem with the car. I told her I had a problem with my money being used without my permission. She rolled her eyes and muttered something about how everyone makes sacrifices for family, and how I was being dramatic. I didn't say anything back. I just shut the door. Later that night, I told Jack not to ever send Amy to my doorstep again. He didn't even deny it. Just shrugged and said she wanted to talk to me. Like that made it okay. I think that's when I realized we weren't even pretending anymore. This marriage was over in everything but legal terms. We didn't trust each other. We didn't respect each other. We barely spoke. He kept acting like I destroyed something sacred. But the truth is, he destroyed it. The moment he decided I didn't deserve a voice, I started meeting with a financial advisor on the side. Quietly, I wanted to know my options. How to separate finances fully. What I'd be entitled to if I walked away. I didn't tell Jack. I didn't need him blowing up or twisting it into more betrayal. The advisor was kind and straightforward. He went over everything and said I was doing the right thing by protecting myself. We talked about separate accounts, paperwork, potential mediation. I walked out of there feeling something I hadn't felt in a long time, clarity. Around the same time, Jack started guilt-tripping me again. He suddenly became more present. He started eating with me, asking how my day was, acting like we were just going through a rough phase. It was fake. I knew it. He wasn't doing it out of love. He was doing it because he was afraid I might really leave. He started saying things like, "Don't throw this away over one mistake," and "You're being spiteful over money that went to help family." He kept using that word, family, like I wasn't part of it, like I was just some outsider trying to mess things up. He told me I was cruel for freezing the account, that it caused him embarrassment when the dealership started calling him about delayed payments, that I made him look weak in front of Amy. I didn't care. I am not his reputation manager. I am not here to make him look good to his ex-wife. I am his wife. Or at least I was. His behavior got weirder after that, like he was trying to keep one foot in both worlds. One day he'd be trying to charm me. The next he'd be texting Amy and hiding his phone screen like a teenager. He started being more secretive, more defensive, but also more desperate to keep me from doing anything drastic. Too late for that, I guess. I don't know what Jack expected when he spent our money on Amy. I don't know if he thought I would just cry a little and then get over it. I don't know if he thought I'd be grateful he shared the decision with me after the fact. But what he got was someone who was done playing nice, done waiting for him to choose me, done pretending things were fine. I've started preparing for a life without him. Quietly, carefully. I don't know when I'll tell him yet. Maybe after the papers are in place. Maybe after I'm in my own place. I don't know. But I do know this. I'm not going to be the one begging to be seen. Not anymore. A lot has happened since then. And honestly, it still feels a little surreal. I guess I knew deep down that leaving was inevitable. But even with all the signs, the planning, the meetings with the lawyer and financial advisor, I didn't expect it to happen the way it did. It wasn't some huge blow-up. It wasn't dramatic. It was just one last moment of casual cruelty from Jack, and something in me finally snapped. It was a Saturday morning. I had taken a day off work the day before and finalized the lease on a small 2-bedroom apartment. It's nothing fancy, but it's clean, quiet, and mine. I'd already moved a few things over secretly, clothes, important documents, a few sentimental items. I was planning to tell Jack I was leaving sometime that weekend. I wasn't expecting any kind of understanding from him, but I thought I at least owed him a heads up. Then that morning, we were in the kitchen again. He was annoyed because I'd taken the car the night before, and apparently Amy had needed help picking something up for her daughter. I guess she still had him on speed dial for errands. He made some comment about how if I was going to keep treating his home like a hotel, I could at least coordinate my schedule better. His home, like I was just squatting there. I didn't say a word. I didn't argue. I didn't ask what he meant or try to defend myself. I just stared at him for a second, turned around, went into the bedroom, and sent a message to the movers I'd already scheduled for Monday morning. "Can we do today instead?" They replied, "Yes." I said I'd pay extra. I told them to meet me in 2 hours. Then I packed. I moved around the house calmly, like I was just tidying up. Jack didn't even notice. He was watching something on his phone and didn't look up. I packed whatever I hadn't already moved into my car and a couple of suitcases. I called a cab for the rest so I could take the car with me. I even cleaned the kitchen counter before I left. He didn't notice I was gone until several hours later. I know because that's when the call started. I didn't pick up. I didn't need to hear his fake confusion or sudden declarations of love. I didn't want to hear him tell me I was being immature or cold or making a mistake. I just wanted to be gone. And I was. My new place is small, but it's peaceful. The first night I slept there, I woke up early, made coffee, and just sat in silence. No tension. No walking on eggshells. No cold shoulders or guilt trips. Just quiet. I cried a little, not because I missed him, but because I felt free for the first time in years. Of course, once he realized I wasn't coming back, the tone of his messages changed. At first, it was confusion. "Where are you? Why are you doing this? Can we talk?" Then it was anger. "I can't believe you left like that. You're being dramatic. You're going to regret this." Then it was guilt tripping. "You broke this family. You could have at least talked to me. I was trying to make things work." Now it's begging. He says he can't sleep. That he misses me. That he'll do whatever it takes to fix this. That he didn't realize how much he needed me until I was gone. That he was stupid. That Amy means nothing. That the car was just a gesture. That he'll sell it, return it, cut her off completely. Too late. He wants me to come home. Says we can start fresh. That he'll be better. That we'll go to therapy. That we can figure things out together. But I don't want to go back to being someone who begs for space, for respect, for basic decency. I don't want to live in a house where I'm treated like an outsider, where I'm made to feel like I don't belong. He still doesn't get it. It wasn't just the money. It wasn't just Amy. It was the way he always chose her comfort over mine, her approval over my partnership, the way he expected me to be quiet, to accept, to forgive without question, the way he gaslit me into thinking I was selfish when I dared to stand up for myself. I didn't leave because of one thing. I left because of everything. And now that I'm out, I'm not going back. I don't know him closure. I don't know him forgiveness. I gave him years of patience, support, and loyalty, and he gave it all to someone else. I'm taking care of myself now. Quietly, calmly, with no drama, no scenes, no begging. And the silence on my end? That is the closure. I wasn't planning to post again, but this felt like the last piece of the story, and I needed to get it out. After everything that's happened, I honestly thought the chaos was done. But then something unexpected happened. Amy showed up at my apartment. It was a regular evening. Someone knocked on the door. I didn't expect anyone, so I peeked through the peephole. I froze. It was Amy. She looked completely different. Tired. Worn out. Like she'd been crying. For a second, I considered not opening the door, but I was too curious. I opened it just a crack, and she asked if we could talk. Just 5 minutes. I let her in. She didn't come in with an attitude or fake niceness like before. She was quiet, clearly emotional, but trying to hold it together. She stood near the door and didn't even sit down. She got straight to the point. She told me Jack had lied to her, too. Apparently, he told her I was fully aware of the car purchase, that I had no problem with him spending from the joint emergency fund, that I was supportive of their co-parenting relationship, and even thought buying her the car was a nice gesture to keep things peaceful in the family. Basically, he made it sound like I was totally cool with all of it, and that I only left because I couldn't handle stress, and that I was controlling and dramatic. Amy said she believed him at first, which explained why she acted the way she did, smug, dismissive, confident that she had the moral high ground. She only started questioning things when she overheard Jack talking to his brother. He mentioned how I blew up when I found out about the car. Jack's brother, who apparently knew the full story, was not having it. He told Jack it was his fault, and that I had every right to leave. That's when Amy realized something wasn't adding up. She came to me to get the truth. I didn't go into every detail, but I confirmed what she needed to hear. I never agreed to the car. I didn't know about it. I didn't tell him to stay close to her. He made all those decisions on his own and justified it later with lies. Amy didn't try to apologize for everything she said or did before. I think she knew it wouldn't matter at this point. She just stood there quiet, looking more hurt than angry. After a while, she just said she was done with Jack, too. She left without another word. Since then, Jack has been trying to reach out. Constant texts, missed calls, even emails. He sent flowers to my workplace. He says he wants to talk and work things out. He says he didn't mean to hurt anyone. I've blocked him on everything. I've spoken to a lawyer. I'm finalizing everything we had left financially. I've moved what I needed into my own account and taken steps to fully separate from him. I already moved out. Amy showing up was not something I expected, but it made everything a little clearer. Jack wasn't just inconsiderate. He was manipulative. He told us both different stories to keep control. He tried to be the good guy in the middle while messing with both our lives. I don't feel angry at Amy anymore. Just tired. She was a part of the mess, but she was also lied to, just like me. And I think now she sees him for who he really is. There's no fixing anything with Jack. There's no rebuilding trust after this. He made choices and tried to cover them up with lies. He thought he could juggle everything and come out looking noble, but it all collapsed. This is the last update. I don't want to talk about him anymore. I'm done explaining and justifying how I feel. I walked away, and I am staying away. He can tell whatever story he wants now. I'm not going to correct it. I'm not going to argue. I just don't care anymore.